Here we go. Back on. All right. So in the news, I saw earlier today that there was a fire in Korea, in a small city, small central city in that country. And the reason I bring this up is that I actually have family members that live there. That including my parents, actually. Yeah, so very close family members, not like some distant family. My parents live there, and you know, it's a oh, come on, speeding. Okay, you know what? Let's just. Oh, great, thank you, police. Okay, let me. Okay. Yeah, so like I woke up this morning and then I saw the news feed, and then it said there's a fire on this building. It's like an 8-story building. It has like a gym, like a sauna, and maybe some shopping. I don't really know what this building is, but there was a fire that apparently started at the ground level, and then it's probably a poorly constructed building from a long ago. Knowing that area, you know, I know a lot of the buildings there are kind of old and poorly maintained. It's not the wealthiest place, the place where the fire happened. Uh, so yeah, I presume it's just a poorly maintained building and poorly constructed. So when the fire started on the ground floor, it went all the way up to the top pretty quickly apparently. The fire department responded in about 7 minutes, which I don't think that's too bad. I don't know what the standards are for a good fire department response level. 7, I say, is not too bad. But anyway, yeah, so they responded, and the fire spread so quickly that they actually have quite a bit of casualty. The last time I checked, they had about like 30 people who died from the fire, which is terrible, and another 30 injured and all that. And because I have family members there, and I have a lot of family friends in the area too, I actually have heard this morning from my parents, and that, you know, my family's okay, as far as I know, but we have some people that we know who have actually unfortunately died in that accident. At least one person that we know. Yeah, so that was quite tragic. I mean, I didn't know this person too well in particular, but I know that this person is a family friend of ours, and I know my mother was a good friend of hers. So yeah, that's truly unfortunate. It was odd seeing that town's name in. See, apparently the incident was significant enough to warrant foreign coverage. So obviously it was big news in the Korean media, because, you know, when your country's so small, like if you're an American and, you know, you live in this massive nation, you know, if some fire happens in some oh, come on, some non-major city, let's pick one. I don't know. Okay, whatever. Some city in Ohio. Okay, it's a city, but it's not big enough that it's not like Cleveland, Ohio, where you've heard of it. It's like some random city in Ohio that you've never heard of. Maybe people living in Ohio and the city know, but, you know, if you live in other parts of the country, you don't even know where this place is. If a fire happened and maybe like 30 people died, yes, it's tragic, but you wouldn't hear about it in the national news. Maybe you would for like a second, but that would be it. But if you live in a smaller country such as Korea, South Korea, then that becomes national news. Even if it's in a city, if you know, even if it's not in a major city like Seoul or Busan. then you would hear it in the national news, and that's how that became a big news in South Korea, understandably. But what was surprising for me is that I actually, because my news feed is not necessarily of Korean focus, so I heard the news through basically foreign media. The very first one I heard it through was the Mainichi Shimbun that's in Japan. So it was a Japanese news, the English feed of the Japanese newspaper, Mainichi. And so that's where I heard the news first. And then I saw the name of the town that my family lives in, and that was a big surprise because I never thought the day would come I would see that name of that city pop up in foreign media. Unfortunately, it was not for anything good. And then after that, I went to the Korean sources to read up on what happened there, and got the numbers and all that, and that's unfortunate. And then I saw the news pop up on the feed for the Associated Press. The AP also had an article out about the incident. I mean, albeit it's a short article, it's not a major news for a source like the AP, but the fact that it was there was a big surprise. Normally, like, if it was any other news, it would have been a pleasant surprise, but this time it wasn't. It was yeah, it wasn't so great. So that's unfortunate. Yeah, I hope, because I know if it's a fire, a lot of the casualties come from inhaling smoke. So the people who are injured from the incident, I presume many of them are hospitalized because of various gas poisonings. Not necessarily of burns or physical injuries, but probably of gas poisoning, respiratory problems. I hope that the death rate does not go any higher than it is now, because if you're in the hospital for those kind of issues, it's very possible that the person may die in the hospital. If you've inhaled too much poisonous gas due to the fire, it's very possible. So I hope that does not happen. I hope the people who are in the hospital since the accident recover and be okay. Yeah, so I'm gonna have to give my parents another call later when the time zones are okay for them, and see how everyone's doing. Yeah, so sorry to start the stream on a grim tone.